Raging Entertainment.
What is up, everybody? This is Charlie from Raging Entertainment, and today we will be interviewing the doll maker. So let's get right to it, and this is going to be an interesting story.
Yeah, nice hat.
Thank you. So, anyway, all right, we got the doll maker. So, as people can see, that is his iconic doll maker face. I found this guy through a person that I follow on YouTube. His channel is called House of Masks, and he had mentioned the doll maker. So I went to go find him on Instagram, and he agreed to do this interview with us. And so let's introduce him, the doll maker.
Hello. Oh, thank you.
No problem. So tell me how it came about for you to even start doing masks.
Oh, that's a pretty long story actually, because I've been doing masks for quite some time. Growing up, my father was a wrestler. He worked in like little wrestling events here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Back in like the 80s. So this was before WWF or WWE. So this was
Yeah,
more like when it was like faction out into like different regions.
of course.
So he was more or less like the guy that came in, talk a big game, get the crowd hyped up, and then lose to like the hero. He wrestled guys like Ric Flair and so forth before he
Mm-hmm.
went down to Mexico.
Okay.
I think about when he went down to Mexico in like the mid 80s is when he really started getting a lot more traction as like the big bad American in town in Mexico.
Yeah.
And so my mother took like a few luchador masks from that area when she
Oh,
brought it
nice.
back up. Of course, in the era that her and my grandmother grew up in, it was the era where like you didn't really have like Kohl's or other places like that to go shop your clothes. So you had to kind of make your own.
Yeah.
That was what my mother did. So she did a lot of sewing and so forth. That's when she started taking apart masks and she was making them. And
Mm-hmm.
before that, she was making my father's outfits and so forth that he wore in the wrestling ring.
Okay.
So she had already had experience working with clothing, so she was taking them apart and making them and selling them. She had like her own little stuff. She did a contract with WCW.
Oh,
She made
nice.
Yeah, she made like a bunch of little yellow and purple masks with like the logo on the side of it that they sold at the shows and so forth. So
I've only been to one WCW event.
yeah, I vaguely remember that growing up.
Yeah, I only watched it because of Sting towards the end, mainly when he started doing his crow look, basically. And the event that I went to was a pay per view, and I believe it was called Super Brawl 7 or something like that. And I believe it was when he won the first time against Hulk Hogan the belt.
Ah man, it's been a moment since I dug into any WCW, so I don't personally know as much about that as I would know more about the WWF Attitude Era because that's what I
Oh,
really
yeah.
stuck in when
Even
I
though
was
I was
growing up.
really big into WCW, I still watched WWF at the time before it was WWE. I did see the Attitude Era grow with Degeneration X, Kane, Undertaker getting more popular, Mankind, big names, and Stone Cold, of course, because he helped
Yeah, of
create
course.
it. Um, but yeah, Kane ended up becoming a favorite of mine because I loved his look. I loved the mask. The mask is what drew me. And it was so mysterious because for a long time, people didn't know who it was actually under the mask for a while.
Yeah, it turns out it was a dude who originally was Ivan Yankum, the
Yep.
dentist. So, but yeah,
No,
so
Glenn Jacobs, his real name.
yeah, Glenn Jacobs. I think he's a mayor in Knoxville or something like that.
Yes,
No, he's
he
a mayor
is.
in Tennessee.
I think that's where it was. Yeah. I could be wrong, but I believe that's where it is.
Yeah,
Ben, were
there's
you ever a fan of wrestling?
Nah, I kind of missed out on that wave when I was a kid, but I definitely played a lot of the classic old Nintendo games and stuff like that.
Nice.
WWF, Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
yeah.
I've had a few exes that were really big into the WWF, and so I learned more about it vicariously that way.
Nice.
Uh,
Was there any wrestlers that stood out to you personally or no?
None that I'm recalling at the moment. so
Okay.
probably not too much.
Just
But
asking because I wasn't
I
sure if
still
you
find it really
watched it.
interesting that that's where it originated for you, was that area to what you're doing now. You know?
Hmm. Yeah, basically wrestling kind of made who you are today in a sense, right?
Yeah, wrestling that, and I grew up on horror movies. I grew up mostly on like the classic black and white
Okay.
Universal horror movies. My
Like
favorite
the
movie
Mummy,
being, yeah, The Mummy, Frankenstein, Creature of the Black
Wolfman.
Lagoon. That was my favorite movie. Yeah, Wolfman, all that stuff. That gothic black and white
That's cool.
style or German
Yeah, I have the
expressionism.
Dracula ones.
Yeah, so that's
And
what I grew up on. So
nice. Yeah, I mean, I grew up on those too. And of course, the '80s is what got me into horror movies, honestly. And the very first movie that I can remember seeing at a very young age, I remember being about 5 years old, I think it was, and it was A Nightmare on Elm Street.
ooh, that one I think I saw when I was like 11 years old, and that actually scared the shit out of me. Sorry for the bad
Oddly
lip.
enough, I didn't
No,
get scared.
you're fine. This is going to be mature audiences anyway,
Yeah,
so we're not worried
Okay.
about language too much.
I know.
Okay,
And
yeah.
not to
No, that
mention,
that
I've
was
I've got editing skills to bleep out if I need.
okay.
Oh, but this is, who cares? Horror movies. Anybody wants to see it, go see it. I don't care. Don't. Who cares? I love
Yeah.
horror movies. I don't care what age you are. If it's something that's not too gory, go for it. But you want to save the really gory stuff for like later.
Yeah, I didn't get the memo, and I watched John Carpenter's The Thing, and
Ooh.
that like at 14 years old, that grossed me out. But I was so fascinated because at that time I had much more of a comprehension that this stuff isn't real, and you're getting a little bit
Oh
older,
yeah.
and you're understanding that this stuff's good storytelling, and then you're just like, well, how did they do that? So that
Nice. Were you ever a fan of Chucky?
uh kinda ish. I like the
Kinda ish.
first movie. I like the first movie. Actually, I have his head right over here somewhere.
Well, I have this one right here, which is the 7 movie collection. This is the DVD ones, but I plan on
Nice.
upgrading nice to the Blu-rays. So hopefully one day.
Yeah, actually, I have my like a bunch of movies back here behind me. So I have
Nice.
my Friday the 13th box set. So that's like a necessary.
Oh, nice. I didn't. I
Cool,
didn't know there
cool.
was a box set.
Yeah, it comes like a lunchbox.
Huh.
I'm gonna have to just pull this out. It comes in a lunchbox.
That's awesome.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's got like another Jason in the back.
That's even cooler. Do you have a favorite Friday the 13th?
I have to say part 4, just because that Jason was mean.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
I would
actually
say the funniest one is Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah, it's like Manhattan for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
He's on
Oh,
a
were you
boat
about to
for the
say,
rest
Ben?
of the movie.
before we started here, Charlie was and I were talking about the horror stuff. I actually came late to the horror movies, basically in the last 20 years, and interestingly enough, I've only been catching some of the kind of the heyday of horror, the 80s, 90s stuff, only more recently. So me and my daughter actually watched all of the uh, Halloween movies. We watched all the Chucky movies. We have watched the first Friday the 13th, but we're going to be watching all the rest of them here in a bit. So I still haven't seen all those ones. I was a little dismayed and disappointed that the first one, I'm like, where's Jason? Where's Jason? That's what these movies are about, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you don't see him until like the very, very, very end.
yeah. So
Yeah, and it's like dead muddy baby Jason coming out of the water. So
right, right.
Basically.
So definitely looking forward to the rest of the series there, because I know they're the cult classics of their time, and
Well,
definitely
so is a
well,
Nightmare on Elm Street. Have you
yeah,
seen those?
yeah, I know it is, and I haven't seen that one yet either. I've got those,
Oh, okay.
like I said,
I wasn't sure.
definitely a late comer. I've seen a lot of other horror over the years in the last 20 years, but I did not see a lot of the classics.
What
Uh,
was, say, more of a recent horror movie you have actually seen that's more like, say, 2018, 2019-ish?
uh, Most recently would probably be the Curse of, gosh, what was the
La
name?
Llorona?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that one was pretty good.
uh,
Very,
The Mexican
very.
Bloody Mary? Yeah.
That one's very. What's the word I'm looking for? It's like Shoot, what was the name of the one where the little girl gets possessed?
The little girl or doll?
The girl, not the doll.
Exorcist.
Yes.
Exorcist.
Yes, very,
Exorcist, yeah.
very, very reminiscent of that movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to me, I mean, because you got the church gets involved, but it's the guy
Oh,
who, instead of being a priest, he's, been uh, disconnected from the church, went his separate way. But the point is, you still have this religious figure who's coming into the home, trying to cleanse it and stuff.
yeah.
So definitely interesting.
Nice. Dollmaker, are you a fan of the Conjuring universe?
I think I've only seen the first Conjuring movie. I tried to watch The Nun, but got so disinterested in it. For me, the movies are okay.
Uh-huh.
For the most part, I liked what they did with Conjuring One, and I liked what they did with Conjuring Two. I did
Mm-hmm.
watch both Conjurings. Everything that they did around it, like the Annabelles and all that, don't really phase me. They don't interest me because like there's no tension, there's no like sign of threat. Just
Uh-huh.
because for the most part, everyone's gonna come out pretty unscathed at the end
Oh,
of the
yeah.
movie. So like it cuts out all like the tension of the movie. So
What do you
there's
think of
no interest in it.
Leatherface?
Leatherface, he's right behind me, so I love
Oh, is he?
him.
Nice.
Yeah, I got the Pretty Woman mask, so
Oh, that's
I love
cool.
him too.
What's your
First,
favorite, though? The older Leatherface or the ones that were more of like the reboot of Leatherface?
that okay. So it's a bit of a hard one because if I'm talking about just like wanting like just like a brute, angry, just aggressive Leatherface, the remakes are really good, but that feels more like Jason to me. Whereas
Okay.
the original Leatherface was kind of like you can tell this person's suffering from some kind of mental illness and doesn't understand what's going on. He just understands what his family tells him to do. So I think I like the
Yeah.
original one more.
Yeah, of course. And in spite of well, not spite, sorry. But it's just funny because the theme is horror in this, interview today. I actually wore my Leprechaun shirt.
I love Leprechaun. I love the first movie. It made me laugh
Oh,
a
the
lot.
first one's the best. The first one's the best. But the funniest one is Leprechaun in Space.
Leprechaun in Space was so hard to sit through. I
But
laughed.
it's funny.
I think I laughed harder at Leprechaun in the Hood because it had like iced tea in it, and iced tea in
True.
the intro was great.
So Ben, you said you're late to horror, but did you ever see Leprechaun?
I don't think I've seen the whole movie. I've probably seen bits and pieces somewhere back in the TV days.
So next in my collection of movies is something I want to know what your guys' opinions are on if you did see them or not, but is Evil Dead and Evil Dead
Oh,
2.
love Evil Dead.
Ooh,
I love Evil Dead.
yes.
The way I've always viewed the Evil Dead trilogy, if you include Army of Darkness, is
Mm-hmm.
the directors in the first one, they're like, we're gonna freak the hell out of people. That's what we're gonna do. That's our goal. The second movie, it was almost like you had two directors just kind of switching out or something. One's going, we're going to scare the hell out of them. The next one takes over, tags in, so to speak, and he's like, slapstick. And then the
Yeah,
third movie, they're like, eh.
let's just go with slapstick. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell.
Yes.
When they
Oh,
made the first one, they were just like going all out for gross out factor. And then when he did the second movie, he wanted to basically kind of do a remake of the first one to take out a lot of parts that he regretted for doing in the
That's
first
what
one.
I
Like
heard.
he didn't like the whole rape scene out with like the trees and so forth. He kind of regretted doing that and like quite a few other things, especially with like
Mm-hmm.
how low budget the first movie was and how gross out the cast was by the end of it all. So
Yeah.
when he did the second one, it was more like a remake of the first one or a reboot to the first one,
Yeah.
while still being a sequel. So it was pretty
okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
And
Did you
I
even
think
like the remake?
the remake I thought was really good. It's one of those few remakes that come out that was actually really good to watch. So
Okay. I
like
Uh,
the
still
practical
actually
effects was
haven't
good.
watched it because of the old ones.
oh, I do have that in my collection, but I have not watched it myself yet.
I
That's one
liked
I need
it.
to watch.
It's the 2013 one, right?
I
Yes,
believe
I
so.
Okay.
like that one.
Yep, I've got it. I have not watched that yet. I'm definitely going to have to watch that, though. I
Nice.
had my daughter watch Evil Dead with me, which she got. The first one, of course, was freaking her out real good. I knew it would. And
Yeah.
the second one was definitely hit and miss, of course. Like I figured,
Of course.
but obviously by the third one she was just laughing her butt off. Uh, if Speaking of movies that are similar in some of the ridiculousness and stuff, have either of you ever watched the Feast movies?
Feast, I know of it. I've never seen it though.
Same. I've heard of it, haven't seen it. It's kind of like Cannibal Holocaust. I've heard it, I have not seen it.
I
Okay,
heard of that one too.
I've got Cannibal Holocaust. Haven't watched it yet. Uh, I understand it's pretty gritty, to say the least. So I've got to be in the right mindset for that one. But yeah, Feast, the first one definitely seems a little more serious, but
Hmm.
by the time you get to the second and third ones, it's just friggin' ridiculous. Some of the
It's
stuff
funny
that's
you
happening.
mentioned that how it gets all funny and ridiculous because the next movie that I have in my collection, Tremors.
Yes.
And it's funny
Oh,
because this is the 6 movie collection in a steel book.
wait, there's 6 movies?
There's 6 movies.
I
I
think
thought there was more than 6.
I think I only have the first 3. I'm looking through my collection right now. I liked Tremors after. Oh, I do have Tremors 4. I didn't know I had that. Okay. Yeah, I've watched the first 3,
Hmm.
uh, but it's interesting. That was another one of those ones that back when I was a kid, I think I saw part of it and it freaked me out. I was third grade, I think, when I saw it, and uh, I remember riding my bike home as fast as I could, hoping that they weren't going to catch me or whatever.
Yeah, no, I remember watching it as a kid myself, and I wasn't really necessarily creeped out by it, but it was definitely entertaining because I love Kevin Bacon in it. He is one of my favorite actors, so when I watch it, it's mainly because of him that I'm watching because he's just a cool guy, and I love the movies that he makes. But the Tremors movies, like after that, I've only gotten up to 3, but because me and Nicole we're trying to watch them together actually, and we haven't watched them all together yet. We've only watched 1 and 2, I believe, together.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think I've only seen like legitimately the first one all the way through, and I haven't watched any others after that because I don't think anyone else has Kevin Bacon after the first one.
Hmm.
So if it doesn't have Kevin Bacon in it, I'm not down for it.
What horror franchises do you like best?
Horror franchises that I like best. I like Friday the 13th. I love Nightmare on Elm Street. I think if they had just kept it at Halloween 1 and 2, that would have been fine. Everything else that came afterwards was just kind of like wow.
Yeah.
And Halloween 2018 was good, but everything after that was just like eh.
So are you not looking forward to the like Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends that comes next?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm just hoping they don't fumble it because I liked what they did with Halloween 2018, but I'm hoping they don't like goof it like some movies do, where like they get real good. Like X-Men: Days of Future Past was great, and then they get to Apocalypse and they fumbled it hard, and then they get to Dark Phoenix and it's worse.
That's funny because I actually happen to enjoy all the X-Men movies, like all of them. Like to me, there was I mean, don't get me wrong. I feel like every movie in general could always be better than what it is. Even if it's your favorite movie ever, there's always something you can find. Oh, they could have done that better.
Yeah,
There's always something like that. I mean,
yeah, I feel it.
yeah, no, my favorite franchise, if I were to go by, hmm, probably Chucky. I'd have to pick Chucky.
That's reasonable. I like a lot of their practical effects and the puppetry. That's for
Yeah.
me. Like the first movie was really about the only one that really caught my attention that I actually liked. The second movie was okay. The third movie was eh.
Hmm.
They
And
get
then
really ridiculous.
yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I watched what was it? It was the one where they're in the asylum and Chucky had like multiples of them.
Oh,
Cult of
Cult
Chucky.
of Chucky.
Yeah, that one made me laugh though. That one was pretty funny.
Yeah, Cult of Chucky. It's funny. Even though I have all the Chucky movies, I've only seen up to Pride of Chucky. I haven't seen Seed and Up yet.
Seed is like the one that people trash or dunk on the most
I can see
Hmm.
compared to
that.
like ones that no one doesn't like. But I think what they did when they brought Curse of Chucky back, it was pretty okay in my opinion. A little more scarier, less goofiness, and then when they get back to Cult of Chucky, that's when it kind of like takes a 180 again, back to more silliness or goofy humor. So that's what I saw. I've seen every movie, but yeah, the first movie still always has my heart. So
Are you into sci-fi horrors though?
sci-fi horrors, I like some of them. Yeah, like Aliens.
Oh, love
Aliens is
Alien.
great. Aliens is great. Alien is good. I like Aliens more.
One of the things that they did in the original, I was reading about, was intentionally making the alien not be highly visible, because it was more about the lack of knowing exactly what you were dealing with, what you were up against.
Mhm.
That's what helped add to the tension in that movie. It's
Oh
also
yeah.
it's also the same reason why in the Stephen King's It movies they never give it a name. It's it. You know,
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, he has a name. It's Pennywise.
that's just the clown. That's not it.
yeah.
If
That's
you're
just the
talking
name
where
for the
he's like
clown.
originally from, then yeah, I mean, I'd have to read.
Pennywise the clown is
I
just
do
an
have,
identity of the creature. You know,
I do have both of them. First one, second one.
the
Very nice.
original's
I have
good too,
both as
though.
well.
You haven't watched two yet?
I've seen all of them. So Tim Curry will still always be my favorite Pennywise,
Same
but
here.
Bill Skarsgård was fucking great though.
Oh, he
Oh no, he
The
did.
did an
way
He
amazing
did
job.
fantastic. Yeah, he did.
just
He
that
did
that
an
opening
amazing.
sequence for the first movie, like when he lured Georgie into the
Oh yeah.
sewer, that was just so freaky.
Oh
That
yeah.
Let
was
me
like
see if I can
nice.
try doing this. Bill Skarsgård. The it. Let me see if I can even try because I do voices. I can do impressions. So let's see if I can even try. Hiya there, Georgie. Would you like your boat?
Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. I
I
don't know if
mean,
it qualifies as horror, but the Hannibal
thriller.
movies.
Oh, Cannibal.
Hannibal.
Oh, Hannibal.
Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal
Though I
Lecter.
would, yeah, psychological thriller.
Okay.
I
That
like
would be
some of this stuff. Let's
Yeah.
see. What was it? It was Silence of the Lambs. That
yes.
one was freaky, especially when he got to the part where he was beating the cops in the cell, and he like handcuffed one of them. He's like biting one of their faces off. That
Yep.
was freaky.
God.
Yeah. And just I've joked through the years that Hannibal is my role model. He's extremely intelligent, very
Oh yeah.
calm, very just matter
Sane
of
in a
fact.
way.
Yeah, basically, he's so insane that he's not. I guess if that
Yeah.
makes any sense. He goes full circle. You know,
Oh yeah.
but he only typically will kill or feed on the rude. So
Basically,
so basically, if you've got manners and you're a decent person, he'll leave you alone. He's not interested in you.
like a cannibal vigilante.
Kind of in a sense. But yeah,
Yeah,
like they talk about in Silence of the Lambs, where that they'd had him hooked up to a heart rate monitor for some sort of checkup or whatever, and
I
and
just thought
he
of a good team.
and he bit off the nurse's tongue, and his heart rate never went
Oh
a beat over 90, even as he swallowed her tongue.
wow.
It's like, whoa, this guy's got issues or
Uh
something,
huh.
you know.
Well, I just thought of a good team for you then. Boondock Saints with Doctor Hannibal Lecter,
Oh, that'd be a dream team.
because they can do the killing. He can just clean up the mess by eating it.
Right.
No evidence.
That's funny.
I mean, hell,
yeah.
why not? You
No,
got a pack of hyenas.
So do you have any masks that you want to show off by chance that you're
I
particularly
don't
proud of?
have any of my I don't have any of my parts with me or any of my masks with me other than just my doll masks. This one I've worn to multiple concerts. I wear it to my events. I do all sorts of stuff with. This mask has been featured before I cut the top off.
Mm.
This mask has been on like Loudwire on a thumbnail for Loudwire. I was in one of
Really
their yeah, it's on one of them. You can find it in one of my stories on Instagram. Uh,
nice.
it's also been on one of the Slipknot pages and so forth from the concert I went to there. and so
Wow.
you can
Cool.
see it back when it still has top. It's just one of the masks I wear everywhere. So that's why people call me the doll maker, because this mask looks like a porcelain doll. So
Yeah.
everywhere I go, I wear this
Oh,
out with it.
do you
But
make Slipknot masks too?
the only Slipknot mask I've made is just like a leather replica of the Maggot mask off the Volume 3 album.
Oh, okay.
Aside from that, I've made a couple of Mick Thompson masks, the Leather Devils he wore for the Iowa and self-title era. Aside from that, I
Okay.
haven't really made any others, or sculpted or cast any others. So,
What
but
about just bands in general, like say Guar, for example?
Guar, I love Guar's humor. I've never been a big fan of their music.
I
Their
only like one
vocals,
song.
I haven't tried replicating any of their stuff though. Just because
Okay.
I feel like that's how to put it, like more like a poser, because I'm not really into their thing, and then I'm trying to replicate their thing. So I just feel like that's not up my alley. So
Okay. What about like Mushroom Head? Did they ever intrigue you to make, masks of
they,
theirs?
I love their masks, but I hate their music so much. I, I was I was looking at like their new masks for their new album cycle, and
Hmm.
I'm like, how can anyone look this badass but suck so
Nah,
bad?
I'm sure people have thought that with Slipknot too, though.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment.
Blasphemer.
Everyone
I
has
mean, I
their
love Slipknot.
opinion.
I love Slipknot, but I'll be honest. Even though I love Slipknot, I don't love every single song that they have. I have my
Agreed.
favorites that just stand up from the most, and sometimes there are songs where I'm like, I didn't give this one enough of a chance, and now I like it. I didn't realize how good it was. Sometimes it happens, and sometimes it happens with bands in general, like Avenged Sevenfold as an example. When I first heard them, I was like, ooh, they suck, but then the more and more I listened to them, the more and more I actually ended up liking them. Was there any bands
Yeah,
like that for you?
bands for me, because bands highly influence a lot of the work I do, especially with like guitar work and making masks. And I love putting on my headphones to listen to certain bands that really put me in the moment when I'm making certain pieces.
Yeah.
A band for me that was really hard to get into, and mainly that stemmed from like the fan base, was Slayer. I grew
Oh.
to really really love Slayer, but like their fan base was just so hard to get along with.
Oh
same
yeah.
was same was like Cannibal Corpse and Morbid Angel. Like they're all a bunch of 13-year-old hardcore kids, and they're all like, if you don't like this, then you're not real metal. I'm like, I'm older than you. Why are you talking to me
That
like
that
that?
that sounds like a
Since you're a music lover and a wrestling fan, are you into, say, like Insane Clown Posse?
Insane Clown Posse. Never been a big fan of them. I think my ex girlfriend was like a former Juggalo or liked them. She liked the song like Piggy Pie, but then when I offered her to go to Slayer with me to one of their concerts, she's like, "You know they're gross," and I'm like, "You like Insane Clown Posse? Why is Slayer worse?"
I know. I mean, I like Insane Clown Posse. I like their humor, but like musically wise, I've only really liked maybe one or two songs.
Yeah, I don't really know much about their music other than that Earth, Fire, Wind, well, how the magnets work type lyrics. That's the only lyric I think I've ever heard of. And
I
so that made me laugh.
Well, the one that I like the most, I would say, is like just my number one by them is called "Let's Go All the Way." It's pretty good because it kind of got a rock little guitar riff to it, to where it kind of gives it a different feel, where it doesn't sound like Insane Clown Posse when made, but still sounds cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go on record. I had a Disturbed phase where I really liked Disturbed, and I know I'm gonna get shamed for that, but that's okay because we all had mistakes when we were 14.
hey, don't call that a
And so,
mistake. I still enjoy Disturbed.
I still enjoy
okay,
them.
and every now and again a song will come on. I'll be like, okay, yeah, just kind of bob to it. But
Maybe you just played yourself out from it.
maybe actually what really caused it, the catalyst for me to stop liking them, it was them and In This Moment, and I'd already seen Disturbed with Rob Zombie. I wanted to see In This Moment, so I bought some tickets. Me and my ex girlfriend, we went out to go see Disturbed and In This Moment. In this moment, this just the two bands. There's no opening act for them. So in this moment, it's on stage, and they're only on for like 30 minutes or so. And I'm like, really? We still got like another 4 hours before the concert's over. And then that's when Disturbed comes on. So in this moment, I had like this great big like a Nightmare Before Christmas Halloween town setup.
Oh,
It
nice.
was
Nice.
great. It was beautiful. And it took them like an hour to take all of it down. So I admire that shit. And then Disturbed just had like 8 rows of DTS lights just
Hmm.
kind of set up on the ground, and that was it. That was like their whole background.
Well, now
And
I
so
know
I
you
was
play guitar, right? You play guitar?
yeah, yeah, I play
Did you ever
guitar.
play the guitar riffs from Disturbed when you were a fan?
Uh, no, because when I started playing guitars, when I was having my Disturbed phase, and then
Oh,
as I
okay.
started progressing in guitar and bass, because I originally started off playing bass guitar, I went to more like my old school thrash metal and punk rock roots,
Hmm.
and that's when I was like, man, Disturbed really for me, Disturbed's kind of generic sounding or generic.
Okay.
But yeah, Disturbed finally takes stage after In This Moment gets off, and it was like the David Draymond show featuring Disturbed. Because after every 2 songs or 3 songs, he would stop to talk, and he
Huh.
would talk, and he would talk, and then they would play like a few more songs, and then he would talk, and he would talk, and I'm like,
Okay.
"You're killing me, man! I spent $100. Stop it."
That's funny. Because I know Ben right here, he plays bass too.
Yeah, I grew up playing. I started off playing bass, so when I transitioned over to guitar, it was real odd for me because I
Hmm.
was heavy-handed. I was heavy-handed with like my picks and my slapping and so forth. So I was breaking a lot of guitar strings. I got real expensive after a little bit.
Damn. I play drums mainly. I used to
Yeah.
be in a band in the Bay Area. I won't say the name only because I don't want to. Long history.
Don't want to promote something that went south.
Yeah, basically something that was going good, but then went bad, basically.
And me and Charlie
But
actually played together back
I'm
when
not gonna
Charlie
mention names
was.
because I don't want to get like messed up from it and have somebody try to come at me, basically.
And me and Charlie played together too before that,
Oh yeah.
when he was originally just guitar and I was bass. I've been picking up drums myself recently. I've dabbled on guitar, but my instruments long before I ever picked up that kind of stuff was actually classical oboe and bassoon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
When I started playing, I was playing bass guitar and I picked up drums, but because I have like a mangled up spine, so I have like
Oh.
a really bad curve in my lumbar, and
Ooh.
then it
Uh-huh.
goes into like a perfect curve towards everything. But when it
Mhm.
gets to like the C disc, there's like no curve at all in my neck, so my spine's kind of like all twisty. So
That's
it's like to sit on a throne for long periods of time like causes a lot of back pain. So I could never find like a proper like drum throne to like help suit my back. So I
huh.
ended up just kind of like laying off drums and just sticking with bass guitar before I picked up guitar.
Gotcha.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah, because my strongest instrument is drums in general. Because I do play a bit of everything, but if I would say my strongest instrument, it's drums.
And if I can brag about him for a moment, uh, he, I remember when he was first learning drums, he had a pair of drumsticks, and I don't think he even had a practice pad for the longest time. And he would sit on the edge of his bed and just do as if he had a drum set in front of him. That was most of how he learned the drums, and then eventually, got a drum kit, sometime after he moved up to the Bay Area for a bit, I'm sure. But yeah,
Oh
he basically taught himself how to play drums from sitting on them every now and then at Guitar Center, and then sitting on the edge of his bed with a set of sticks. That's how he learned how to play drums. I was impressed. So,
yeah,
definitely,
that's
yeah.
how'd you learn how to play bass?
Me?
Yeah.
Uh, well, having come from a classical background, I've never felt that anything had a small part. Everything's important when it comes to whatever music you're playing. Every instrument is important. So I actually didn't ever have my own instruments. So after I graduated high school, my parents had divorced. He left behind his acoustic guitar. I played that for a little bit. but never really got into it like I did with oboe and bassoon. Then years after that, I finally purchased my first electric guitar in like 2007, I think. And then I got my first electric bass, mostly just to try it out, you know. And none of my other friends played bass, so that's what I ended up sticking with, and I just got better and better at it. I don't really play any covers, which is probably a disservice to myself. Everything I play is generally my own kind of just original material. Um, and I also have not learned my note association. Although I can read treble and bass clef sheet music, I cannot look at it and then just start playing it on my bass the
Same here.
same
I
like
can't
I
do that.
would with oboe and bassoon. And I want to learn how to do that eventually. Just because then, you know, between the combination of ear learning and being able to read a piece of sheet music, then I can pick up anything, read it, learn it, and play it. You know?
Yeah. I mean, music theory is a really hard thing to learn too, because I just downloaded this app where it teaches you, but then quizzes you at the same time. So you have to memorize it like really quick. And it's funny because it's just doing standard musical theory for, like, say, standard tuning, like E tuning,
Hmm.
and it would teach you the names of the strings and then what goes next, like what's the B, what's the C, what's the D, and then like C sharp, I think it was F sharp,
Hmm.
stuff like that. And it was intriguing. It was kind of fun too, because it's kind of teaching me, so I like
Cool.
that. Dollmaker, do you know music theory?
I know a little bit because I mostly so how do I put this? So the first teacher I ever had was not a very good teacher, and so I was kind of like, yo, you on your own. It's just like
Hmm.
we're gonna just learn how to play like a little bit of a song, and then like he would get like ADHD or ADD, and just like go on to the next song. And so eventually I ended up leaving him. And for years, I just kind of sat in my bedroom and just start learning like songs all the way through. I'd
Hmm.
look up tablature, and
Oh,
then
same here.
eventually I looked up like the notes on the fretboard, like A, G, like to A to G and so forth, and everything that's in between. All the
Hmm.
sharps and the flats and so forth. And that some of the sharps are basically the same as flats, so A sharp, B flat to B.
Yeah.
And so I started learning that, and then from there I just kind of like fiddled around and kind of did my own thing on bass for one sec 3 years before I got another teacher. But that teacher only really taught me guitar, so by that point I basically just learned bass on my own, so mostly
Okay.
self-taught for guitar and bass. And
Yeah,
then
I guess all of us are self-taught.
yeah, so I have like what a lot of people would call sloppy, but like my playing style is more like punk rock and thrash
Okay.
metal, which is what I grew up in. Because growing up, I listened to a lot of like Metallica and stuff like that, and that
Okay.
led me into like Megadeth. And of course, my father and mother and my brothers and shit, they loved Ted Nugent and Leonard Skinner. So I
Okay.
like a lot of different influences going in. Ironically, so my first name comes after Rod Stewart, and my middle name comes after Luis Miguel, who is a Spanish musician.
Okay.
And so, so when my mother and my father named me after those two musicians, I don't think they anticipated for me to come out playing the gross stuff that I play. So, like, you got like these two classical, or not classical musicians, but classic musicians that play like the really soft, nice, more radio friendly, loving music type deal. They
Yeah.
like and then I'm coming out and playing like Slayer and
Way
Tuned
different
and
from, yeah.
Nice. Well, I think we're getting well past time here.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
so I don't know if anybody else noticed the time. But uh, to wrap up, you have anything you want to ask or whatever, Charlie? And then maybe what we can do is we can schedule another interview sometime, you know, because it sounds like there's
Yeah,
a
of
lot of
course.
stuff to
So
cover.
it was just basically two more questions, and I was wondering if you're into, like, say, movie soundtracks. If any of them really stand out to you, whether it be old or new.
movie soundtracks. Halloween's a great one. just because like how John Carpenter made his soundtracks and so forth, and how he
Yeah.
made it to fit the movie themes. I
Yeah.
really love that. This isn't horror, but I really loved what they did with the Avengers soundtrack, Star Wars
Okay.
soundtrack. All those movies are great, and I do love classical music and orchestra music, so those are really good to listen to. So
Yeah, the only soundtrack I have is Troll from the 80s.
Troll is great too. when
And go ahead.
when Alice Cooper did his soundtrack for Jason, that was great too.
Oh, nice. I like Alice Cooper very much. My favorite song of all time that he did was actually on a soundtrack for Wayne's World, Feed My Frankenstein.
Oh, so that one's great. My favorite song from him is maybe Poison, which I guess is gonna
Oh,
be
I
like
love
a
Poison.
pretty. It's probably gonna be like a very very generic way of putting or generic answer. Everyone else says the same thing, so.
And for the last question, are you a fan of A Quiet Place?
Have not seen that movie.
Really?
I have not. I've heard about it. I know the ending, but I
Mm-hmm.
haven't taken the time to really sit and watch it, so I can't give my full opinion on it. I like the concept from everything I've heard,
Mm-hmm.
but I have not watched the movie, so I don't want to give like an opinion based on something I haven't actually fully seen. So
Okay. Well, I mean, thought I'd take a chance because I've seen it. It's really good. I think you would enjoy that one because I mean, the concept itself really works out in this first one. I just don't know how well it's going to do with the sequel, basically, because it's like now they know how to kill, and I know that the second one was supposed to be out already, but it's because of the coronavirus shit going on, not able to go to the movies to see anything right now. So kind of sucks.
yeah,
But since we're out of time and everything, I'm gonna go ahead and leave a link to his Instagram. Did you want to tell anybody what you got going on for yourself? What you got planned?
what I got planned, just a lot of mask orders, getting stuff filled out, getting stuff made, and then in between that, working on personal projects. I got like my Wendigo project, my LC2 project I got going, and then
Mm-hmm.
from that, I also got like little short films that I'm working on or helping out. Whenever my state opens back up, me and my buddies can meet back up to finish doing that. I got like props that I'm putting in for those. So that's really about it.
Okay. And is
Aside from that,
Instagram the only plug you have?
Instagram's the only plug I have. Outside of that, I don't really post much of my work to any other social media because
Okay.
sometimes it gets flagged and I don't know, but Facebook doesn't like me, so I get flagged. I already have like one warning on Facebook that I might get banned for a year, so.
Wow. Okay. And I'll
Yeah.
leave a link to House of Masks too, because he is the one that basically introduced me to you. So got to give him a shout out. And thank you for doing this interview with us. And you have a good one, man. Take care.
You too.
Great getting
Thank
to know
you.
you.
And thank you for having me.
No problem. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take my mask off, and we can put on my glasses, put on my light, and then I'll put on my hat. I am ready to go.
I think I laughed harder at Leprechaun in the Hood because it had like iced tea in it, and iced tea in
True.
the intro was great.
Ben, for being.
Technical difficulties.
We'll be used to that.
Here you
Oh
are.
yeah.
You're back again. Did we lose him again?
I guess so. He's not responding.
He's frozen.
He's lost in time.
we'll
Thank God for editing.
yeah.